Oh, it's a big fella, all right. 12 games. Let's recap them. There are league-winning performances everywhere. The best players of all time. Spuds galore. And Vooch remains the GOAT. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and basketball, I can't do any more of that because I'm sure I'd get copyrighted. But anyway, thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. Yeah, I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and we're here to talk about all 12 games across the NBA. There is a million things for us to talk about, so we might as well just get straight into talking about those 12 games now with our daily recap. Just a couple of little news things that we do need to touch on for Thursday. If you haven't seen the preview show, you saw me talk about the Thunder injuries over there. But what we didn't know is about Golden State, and we did get confirmation from foreseeable future legend Steve Kerr that Al Horford is going to play on Thursday and sit on Friday, so we know that. But then he also said something that Moses Moody is out on Thursday, but may be available Friday. But he also said, yeah, Moses would have been a starter for us. Okay. So does that mean Kuminga wasn't going to start and they're going to be Podziemski and Moody? Does that mean Podziemski wasn't going to start? So that's just another wrinkle. Now we don't know what is going to happen. Is Moody going to start when he returns? And then what does that do to Kuminga? What does it do to Podziemski? What does it do to old mate Willie Dick coming off the bench? We saw Moody start in the preseason. Well, okay, whatever. But Kerr apparently is going back to it for the foreseeable future. But we've got that news, at least that he said that, so it can bring confusion to us, but at least we know that we're getting that confusion. What about, and I wasn't going to do this necessarily, but we might as well just have a look at what things have happened on the waiver wire over the last 48 hours, just to give you an idea of some of the moves that people are making. The most added player was Ayo Dosunmu. I'm guessing that's Kobe White being out. We'll talk about the Bulls later. Dosunmu did not start. It was Trey Jones. Steven Adams was up 19%. I'm guessing because he played 37 minutes. I do not believe that you need to have Steven Adams outside of streaming on gate days like yesterday. And then the big Areola, Concanipple, has been added in 19% of leagues. We'll talk about the Hornets game. He and Ryan Cockbrenner both started, and we'll go into that in a sec. The most drop players, Al Horford. That is an easy drop. I know that you guys, again, be very careful. I'm going to say something that's going to trigger you guys. What do we do with Al Horford, John Armstrong?
Get that garbage out of here.
Thank you. We don't need to hold Horford, although, considering he's playing tomorrow, there's 2 games on maybe holding for that. Aaron Wiggins down 9% and Budrick Hield down 7%. Both of these players are playing Thursday, so if you didn't need to drop them, the reason you would have had them is for the pseudo back-to-back stream. After that, very clearly we don't hold on to them, but that's where we're at with those guys at the moment. That will enable us now to get straight into talking about these games, because quite obviously there is a lot for us to talk about with 12 games on. So the first game we're going to look at is the Brooklyn Nets and the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets win at 136-117. Pretty comfortable final score in the end for Charlotte. The Nets didn't start with Yegor Djoman as the starting point guard. It was Ben Saraf who started. Now, we thought that might be the case as Djoman eases his way back into a larger role. The rest of their starting lineup was as expected. Let's start with Djoman, who played 22 minutes and had 14 and 5 with 4 threes. This shooting from him, again, it is not real. Now, do I believe that he is a better shooter than we saw at BYU? Yeah, I think he might be. Ever since he's left BYU, his shooting has been fine. Now, nobody is a shooter like this. If you wanted to add anyone, it could be Djoman. I would add Djoman over Saraf pretty clearly, because even in this game with Djoman being limited, he played 22 minutes to Saraf's 20. But you also saw Nolan Traore play 9 minutes in this game, and there's going to be a lot of back and forward with these guys. So while Djoman was very good in this game, if he didn't shoot 67%, we wouldn't be talking as positively about it. So he's okay to look at. Solid game from Day'Ron Sharpe at very low minutes, which is concerning, while Clowney played 20 minutes and didn't do a huge amount. What we also saw is the Nets just playing everybody, and this is going to be the problem. That's why I did not want to touch Michael Porter Jr. or Cam Thomas. Thomas played 24 minutes. He had 15 and 1 with 2 assists on 22%. Yuck. He went to the line a lot. We're still holding him, but this is why we didn't go high. Michael Porter started out amazingly and ended with 12 points on 33%. He had 5 assists out of nowhere, but again, these guys are going to be dicked around all season. We had 26 minutes from the big fella, Tyrese Martin. Do you know who that is? Well, get to know him because these guys are going to play minutes. And then Terrence Mann was solid enough. But overall, what do we care about any of these guys on the Nets, to be honest? Like Claxton had 17 and 4. That's pretty good. Thomas and Porter, if you've got them, you probably do hold them and you consider Jolman, but that's really about it. It is going to be incredibly frustrating dealing with this team. Now, we can talk about the other side of it, which is the Charlotte Hornets, where we got some really interesting developments. And the main development that we got out of this was the fact that despite, I felt like we got pump faked here, but the big cock himself, Ryan Cockburner, started. I thought for sure it was going to be Moussa Diabate, even though I think they should have gone with Cockburner. So they did. Surprise starter. He played 27 minutes. He had a double-double with 2 blocks. Is that a must roster? I don't know, because Charles Lee, prior to the game, said that it's going to be fluid and they're going to mix and match these starters. I don't know that I fully believe him, especially when we talk about Knipple, but with Cockburner, I can see Diabate getting in there and cutting into that playing time. Now, is it worth taking a look at Cockburner? This is why we took flyers on guys like this in drafts. Sure, you can go ahead and do that if you want, but be aware those 27 minutes might not and probably will not be a recurrent thing. Good game from Bridges, 18 and 11. LaMelo had 20 and 8 on some weirdly bad free throws, so I don't worry too much there. And Brandon Miller, a guy that I was pretty high on this season, 25 with 7 assists. I love how that started. Not great on the free throws, very clearly. Knipple played 25 minutes and had foul trouble. 11, 5 and 1. He is not a priority add to me. I don't mind if you do add him, but there are much better options to add than Knipple, I think. You had Sexton getting 17 minutes. I know that people were drafting him. They should not have been.
Get that garbage out of here.
He does not need to be rostered. We had Trey Mann having 12 points, and then we had Diabate was the other one to talk about here. He had 13 and 9 with a steal and a block, which is still really good. So if you did add Diabate or you did draft Diabate over Cockburner, you'd be a little bit disappointed, but he could start next game, play 27 and be way better. I think both of them could be considered 12-team league players, both Diabate and Cockburner. But I think what the more realistic path is going to be is that they just eat into each other continually and Charles Lee goes back and forward. I think that's probably the most realistic path here. The second game, Miami and Orlando. In Orlando, the Magic, 125-121. Orlando gets the win. Let's start in Miami. And they didn't start Drew Smith, nor did they start Kal-El Ware. Superman came off the bench. They went with Davion Mitchell. I guess that's probably where you want me to start in terms of the performances there. Let's talk about Davion, who was great in this game. 16 points, which is fine. But what's impressive there is 35 minutes. He also had 12 assists with 2 steals. And he did it without shooting 45% from 3, which is how he did it at the end of last season. Hero is out, obviously. When Tyler comes back, Mitchell is going to be reduced. But for now, yeah, like that. You talk about guys to grab. Do you grab Igor Djoman or do you grab Davion Mitchell? Do you grab Conker-Nipple or do you grab Davion Mitchell? Very clearly Mitchell, if he wasn't drafted in your league. As for Ware, the worry that we had with Kal-El was that if he wasn't going to start, that he would barely play with Bam, and that is literally what happened. 14 minutes for Ware, 34 minutes for Bam. You know what that means? 48 total minutes. Ware had 7 and 4 with a steal and a block. So the numbers aren't bad. I would hold a couple more, but if this is the pattern, if he plays 14 minutes, you cannot hold that. You cannot deal with that. As for Adebayo, 15 and 12 was fine. What we also got sort of out of nowhere was Triple H, Jaime Jaquez Jr., playing 30 minutes for 13 and 6 with 2 steals. Just watch that. He played a lot of minutes in preseason. I don't advocate as an ad in 12s, maybe 14s you look at it, but it was good. Well, Norman Powell also uncharacteristically grabbed 9 rebounds. He had 28 points. He hit 4 threes. His value will be high while Tyler Hero is out. So if you are looking on sells on guys, Mitchell and Powell there, you're not going to be able to do it, but just be aware of that little part of it. While little Chungus Nikola Jovic started, and his minutes were taken by Jaquez. Jovic had 9 and 3 with 2 threes. Now, in the past, Jovic hasn't really shown an ability to be a consistent 12-team league guy. So if you did want to move on from him, I would understand that. I think he can do more than what he did in this game, but if you wanted to move on, again, I can understand that thought process because there's no real track record of him being good enough to hold. On the Magic side of things, let's check what Desmond Bane did. He was great. 23, 4 and 3, also a random 2 blocks, but most importantly, he took 18 shots. Now, I thought he would take a little bit of a backseat to Paolo and Franz. In the end, he had more shots than both of them. Is that what's going to continue moving forward? I don't know about that. In fact, I'd be very surprised if Desmond Bane, who had 24% usage in Memphis, rolls as a 30% usage guy, but it happened. Don't let the one game dictate what you think will happen long term. It's interesting. It's a data point for sure, but I don't think this will be the ongoing hierarchy. We always want to check on Paolo, and there were a couple of good things and a couple of similar things. 24 and 11 is good. Steal and a block, wow, here we go, Paolo, let's go. But bad field goals, bad free throws, and only 1 assist. A bit frustrating. We also got out of nowhere Jalen Suggs starting. Didn't play at all in preseason, and then he started. Now, he was on a minutes limit pretty obviously and had some early fouls, but his game was great. Overall, I don't really trust it because I don't think he's going to shoot 86% or have 14 and 4 with 2 steals and 2 threes, but he is a very key player. So it's encouraging that he is out there. He had early fouls as well. That's why he played like 5 minutes, I think, in the first half. So just be aware of that. That means that it's not really worth at all having Tyus Jones, who had 0 points in 24 minutes. Mr. Black had 7, 3, and 3. We don't worry about him. While Wendell Carter Jr. started very slowly, but in the end, 30 minutes. 9, 8, steal, block. Also, if you wanted to swap him out for Ryan Kalkbrenner, do it. If you wanted to swap him out for Davion Mitchell, absolutely go for it. The line there is okay. It is hardly high upside though. So there's no guarantee that you need to hold that. Also, a really strong game from Wagner. 24, 4, and 6 with 2 steals, and Goga was solid too. I've already had questions. Do we add Goga in 12s? No, there's no need for that. 8 and 4, 19 minutes, a block. He's a stream guy if you're looking for those defensive stats, and that's really about it. We're going to come back and talk about more of the games. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. So you can say yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All the plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. So get ready to say yes to saying no. Make the switch to Mint Mobile or make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That is mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed may slow above 35 gigabytes unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's episode is also brought to you by the big fellas over at Rugiet. Making excuses does not solve anything. You've heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everybody sometimes. Or I didn't expect Vooch to continue to shoot 50% from 3. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You can connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. And if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use the code LockedOnNBA so that they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, so we're back. We're ready to talk about more games. Let's go to the third game of the day. The Cavs take on the New York Knicks in New York. A bunch of teams two teams that are going to be up the top of the Eastern Conference standings. We're pretty confident on that, but they were both banged up. It wasn't the full experience that we would hope for. The Knicks get it, 119-111. Cleveland had no Darius Garland. He should be back pretty soon. No Max Strus. And then old mate DeAndre Hunter was out. So they had to start a lineup that included Jalen Tyson and Sam Merrill. Let's start with Don Mitchell, who had 31, 2 and 5, 2 steals and a block, including, I think, 21 points in the third quarter. He was great as usual. Mobley started out really strong. His numbers are solid. What is interesting is we got 36 minutes from both Mitchell and Mobley, something that Atkinson didn't do last season. So he didn't ease off the minutes in this game. Mobley was fine. We don't have to worry too much about that. But what we do need to talk about in a game where we saw Mitchell pushed, in a game where we saw Mobley pushed, we saw Jarrett Allen play 28 minutes again. And you know that I have been incredibly down on him this preseason. They faded away from him last season. I thought that he might be able to do a little bit more with Strus and Hunter out, but apparently not. 4 points, bad field goals, bad free throws, still no blocks, 4 rebounds, 28 minutes only. Guys, he was getting incredibly overdrafted to me. It's still yet to be written as to what he does, but I thought that writing was on the wall, and it is very much not a good start if you did go, for some reason, in the 50s for Jarrett Allen. Remember, he was like ranked 20th by overall 9cat total rankings, which of course tells you nothing. Let's talk about some of the replacements here with Merrill getting 19 and 5 threes. That's really strong. We know what he is. He's a 3 streamer. nothing much coming there. Well, Jalen Tyson had some foul trouble. He only played 20 minutes. Lonzo Ball had a limit of 20 minutes, so of course he played 23. He had 6 assists. He shot poorly. He's going to be an assists type streamer, and that's probably about it. Not much else to talk about there, except we did get the thing that we thought would happen. When you go from Tristan Thompson, a washed-up has-been, as your backup center, to Larry Nance, a functional player, that is going to impact Allen. And Nance played 17 minutes and had 10 and 6. You don't add him, of course, but he was good. And other interesting thing, for those of you in deep leagues, in fact, for those of you who might, in fact, be double Onyx, Titanium, Platinum, Diamond leagues, Tyrese Proctor was playing big minutes. He played over Craig Porter. 5 points in 16 minutes for Proctor. So you just keep a small eye on that just to see, because they apparently like him a lot. On the New York side, we had all the shenanigans with Karl Anthony Towns before the game. We knew that Robinson was out and Hart was out, and then they started Ariel Huckporty. Towns did end up playing, but Huckporty only got 18 minutes. 2 and 5, not really worth it. Gershon Yabusele played less than that. Bro was playing 28 minutes a night in Philadelphia, got 12 here, and he looks fat. Sorry, mate, you just look fat. He was bad. So if you did decide to stream in Huckporty or Yabusele, that did not work. The guy that stepped up was Juice McBride. Now, that's largely with Joshy Hart out, but he had 15 points with 4 threes. He looked pretty good out there. And then we get to the main guys. Anunoby really picking up where he left off last season. 24 and 14, 4 threes, 3 steals, and a block on gigantic usage. And that is something that happened to him last season. It was hidden in the February, March, April stuff, but he ramped it up. And he continued it here. Mikal Bridges was very good. 3 steals and 2 blocks with 6 assists. You don't normally get that from him. And then also, Towns playing again with not good players next to him was able to be better. Now, he wasn't fantastic. He shot poorly, which happens often when you don't play as close to the basket. He had 19 and 11. Good numbers, while Brunson was just horrid with his shooting, but his free throws were awesome. 23, 4, and 5. You shouldn't be too worried about Brunson here. He shot 11% from 3, which is not going to be something that sticks, even though I was down on Brunson this season. Not because of this. I didn't think that he was going to be shooting this poorly. It's more that his lack of contributions in a bunch of other categories had me somewhat sour. We also saw 11 guys playing. Tyler Kolek looked way better than he did as a rookie. We saw Jordan Clarkson only get 13 minutes because we had Kolek playing well. So if you thought there was a stream there for Clarkson, well, he's clearly behind McBride, and now he's battling with Kolek, so there's no real reason to be considering Clarkson in most sort of formats. But a definite different look that we got from the Knicks. Now, let's talk about our Toronto Raptors with the huge win on the road over the Hawks, 138-118. That is a massive win for Toronto, who I think are going to outperform their Vegas win total projections, like I mentioned in the show that we did the other day. 20-point victory is huge, and we wanted to focus on how things went with Barnesy. 32 minutes for Scott, 22, 6, and 9. Awesome. He shot really well. So the whole Raptors team shot 57%. That is going to pull back. But that is an encouraging game from Barnes. Now, he didn't attempt a single 3, so he couldn't miss any. But overall, the numbers are strong. It was also an incredibly good game from Rowan Barrett Jr. 25, 8, and 5 with 2 steals on 75% shooting. So again, very good. Any chance of holding? No, of course not. Absolutely no way. But for where you get him in drafts, you could have got him in the 90s, which is very good for a points league. You could have got him around 100 in category leagues, which is okay. There are going to be days where he does not shoot this well or is involved in this, but this is a good start. We also got 21 minutes of Dick. Now, I know that I today was not expecting to get 21 minutes of Grady. It's actually 24 minutes of Dick. My bad. I underestimated. Dick had 21 points. He had 2 threes. He shot 60%. Another Raptors player who just gave us way more and way more efficiency. Do not buy into this. Do not read into this much Dick or the Dick being this level. It's not that good. He's not going to be a 60% shooter, nor is he going to score you 21 points. So it's good. It's a nice surprise, but it's not real. It was also a blowout, and that's why we got 27 minutes of Brandon Ingram, who was fine. 16 and 9 with 2 steals. Jakob Poeltl, only 22 minutes. He had very early foul trouble. I think 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes. But his production, absolutely no problem. Again, some elevated shooting numbers. The one who wasn't quite as good on the shooting was Emmanuel Quickley, but again, it's really hard to complain. He played 29 minutes, he had 13, 4, and 8. You got 8 assists. It's really hard to complain about anything on this Raptors team today, to be honest. Everyone's riding the good vibes of the best country and best city in the world, in Canada and Toronto. World Series, the Raptors, the NBA champs, NBA champ favorites. It's all happening. in Toronto, and I couldn't wish for more luck for a team than for this team. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks side of things, because this is very disappointing. A team that does have high expectations, and they weren't very good here. Old orthostatic hypertension legend Kristaps Porzingis played 26 minutes. Now, the numbers you don't care about. They're awesome, right? You don't go, man, that's terrible. 20-7 with 4 threes and 2 blocks. 6 of 6 in the line, fantastic. You know that I had him projected quite highly. And there is a risk with drafting him. That's why you could get him in the 50s when he's a top 20 player. I think that some of the minutes stuff there it's a little concerning. He did have 4 fouls, so be aware of that. But we watch it. Jalen Johnson looked awesome. 22, 7, and 8 steal block. We had him as a second-round guy. I'm very confident with that one. While Okongwu, 30 minutes. This is why we didn't need to panic too much about him. Now, I don't think it's 30 every night from him. But 18 and 6, he's very good, and he's very clearly a guy to hold. What you shouldn't like is if you hoped that Zachary Ricochet would break out. Because he was bad. He did the thing where he scores, but this is it just looks like rookie Ricochet. 16 points. You go, oh my God, it's happening. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, bro. He barely played, and it wasn't foul trouble. He did have an injury in the second half, but that doesn't excuse the low minutes in the first half. Maybe Quinn Snyder just goes, you're not that good, which is very possible because he's not that good. If you did draft Zach Ricochet with the last pick, I'd like to give it a game or two, or at least a couple more to see what happens. But if he's 24 minutes, forget it. See you later. Done. The troubling thing with this is that he played those minutes while Dyson Daniels played only 23. Now, why did Dyson Daniels play 23 minutes? He had 5 fouls in 12 minutes. But that's not the only thing with Dyson. He got you the 2 steals. That's great. You knew you were getting that from Dyson. But one of the things that I worried about is him on this team. Where would he get usage or do anything that wasn't steals? And that is what transpired in this game. 4 and 3. Took 4 shots. That's terrible. I would say the majority of you did not overreact and reach for Dyson Daniels. I thought that people would be getting him in round 2 this season. Thankfully, people didn't, and they'll get going 40s or 50s. But it might actually be worse than we expected. Nickeil Alexander-Walker played 28 minutes with Ricochet sucking and Daniels in foul trouble. He was fine. He needs 32 to me, although I'll say this. He shot 15 times. He hit 13% of them, Alexander-Walker. So this could have been a lot better. But once again, we have to pay attention. Will Dyson Daniels rack up 5 fouls in 12 minutes? Almost certainly never again this season. So is Alexander-Walker actually going to be a 28-minute player? And will he get minutes over Ricochet? Or is he going to go back to 23 or 24 and not take 15 shots? I would say the second part of that is probably more likely, but we just keep a small little cheeky look just to see which direction this all goes. We've got more games to talk about, of course, but today's episode, it is brought to you by Skims for Men. Skims makes underwear for men. In fact, I'm going to order so many pairs of Skims that I'm going to create a collage and have it hanging up on my wall. That is how much I love them, because I just can't bear to have my underwear out of my sight when it's Skims. You're going to love the comfort. You're going to love the artistic design of Skims as well. And you're going to love being the envy of every man that passes you. They're going to go, bro, why does it look so good? Why is it so? And it's Skims, man. And you're going to go, I knew it. Fist bump, and then you're off. So many styles, designs, shapes, sizes, 3 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches. Plus, the underwear also comes in different sizes as well. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com and let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, you select podcast in the survey, and then you select this show in the drop-down menu that follows. Go get some Skims. It'll do something to you. Change your life, maybe. We're recapping all of the action across the NBA here as there was a big 12-game Wednesday, so let's get into more of them. Let's do the next game. The Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Washington Wizards. Unsurprisingly, the Bucks get the win. 133-120 is your final score there. Let's start with the Wizards side of this game because that's the road team. That's the order that we do these things in. And they went with the starting lineup that we thought they would. We had Bub Carrington alongside CJ McCollum, Keyshawn George with no Bilal there, Chris Middleton, and Alex Sarr. And some interesting things developed. We had a ton of minutes from Keyshawn George, and he really looks ready to be a breakout guy now. If he is on your waiver wire, add him. 21, 9, and 4, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 3 threes, 33 minutes. I grabbed him in round 10, I think, of industry pickup. I think that obviously Bilal coming back will be an impact, but I think he's better than Bilal already. Trey Johnson, also really good. 16 and 5 with 4 threes. Now, is a scorer like that worth taking a crack at? I think you'll find better options to add than Trey Johnson, but that's worth looking at. And if Chris Middleton is somehow floating on your wire, I'd be pretty interested. 29 minutes, 23 and 6 with 3 threes. Now, the problem is going to be with him is that he's going to sit back-to-backs, and maybe he's someone who loses minutes when Bilal returns, but he can still play. And he showed you that he can still play here. Alex Sarr had early foul trouble. He also had some early matchup stuff, which was a little bit weird. And actually, no, he didn't have foul trouble. My bad. He just had some matchup stuff. But also, I think they're just easing him back after his foul issues. Did he shoot well? Yeah, actually 50%. He missed both his free throws and he didn't block a shot. 10 and 12 is not ideal. This will ramp up, and I'm not that worried about it. I'm not worried about Marvin Bagley, who played over Tristan Vukcevic, is stealing his minutes. He only played 15. As for CJ, he stunk. 9 points in 29 minutes for McCollum on 29%. He'll be better than that. Don't panic too much. And it was also a good game from Cam Whitmore doing Cam Whitmore things. The problem with doing Cam Whitmore things is you probably need 30 minutes to make it worthwhile. He played 19. He had 14 points on 12 shots. But he didn't do anything else. If you took a flyer on Whitmore, 19 minutes is not enough. In a 12-team league, you would hope you got 26 when guys are out, but he did not. And then Bub Carrington was someone we did want to watch. And honestly, it's not a bad game. It's not good, but it's not bad. 11, 5 and 2, 3 threes and a steal is fine. I do think that Trey Johnson will very quickly ascend. Now, whether they want to play Trey over Bub, I don't know. But if you're looking for someone to be able to drop to add a player, you shouldn't have any concerns in moving on from Bub in a 10 or 12-team league, I don't think. We'll go to the Bucks side of this game now because, obviously there's stuff here. And one of the most important things here is Kevin Porter Jr., who was putting up good numbers. 10 points, 9 minutes, 2 threes, 2 assists, 1 steal. That's very good. And then he sprained his ankle. Now, he was able to get off the court unassisted, but I would guess he misses some time. So what do you do? Who do you add? It's probably Rollins. Now, Rollins' numbers won't shine in certain areas. He played 29 minutes. He had 9, 4 and 3 with 3 steals. That is enough for 12-team leagues. You add him over Cole Anthony. Cole had some foul trouble, and he's a nice deeper league add with 9, 2 and 5. We also still only got 29 minutes from Miles Turner, but I think that is largely a matchup thing. Just that they smashed him. That's it. But 11 and 8 with 3 blocks, while Yanni played 27 minutes with early foul trouble, and the matchup is the Wizards, and he was awesome and bad from the line, as you would expect. Kuzma had 12, 4 and 3. He came off the bench as we thought, so...
Get that garbage out of here!
And then AJ Green had 3 threes. He's a 3-point streamer. And the thing that worried me about Bobby Portis reared its head. 2 and 6 in 17 minutes. My worry with Portis was that with Kuzma getting power forward minutes, Portis wouldn't do much. I wouldn't drop him just yet, but we will get there, I think, really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. Now, I think because something's wrong with my brain, I forgot and I went out of order. So I didn't miss it. We're going to do the Philadelphia 76ers with the close win over the Boston Celtics, 117-116. Philadelphia gets it. So we've got to talk, of course, about the dominatrix. VJ Edgecombe. Not only did he start, but he got full nurse minutes. 42 minutes. 34 and 7 with 5 threes. Now, there are a lot of things here that are very exciting. The 42 minutes, obviously we love it. He's a clear must roster player. Like, you go and add him without any question. But I do have some doubts about something in particular. Is he actually going to take 26 shots a night? That seems unlikely. That seems unlikely he's going to roll 31 usage. Very unlikely. He took 13 threes. That also seems unlikely. He was not good at the free throw line. Maybe he's better there. And he will do more defensively. I do find it a little bit tough to believe that when Paul George is back, and when Jared McCain is back, that he might play these minutes, but that level of usage, leading the team usage, is going to be realistic. I don't think so. But it's great. We love this. This is a fantastic performance. It is worth tempering. And one of the big things we take away from these early games is not necessarily how did someone shoot, because he shot 50%. Unbelievable. But was the coach willing to use him? And 42 minutes and 26 shot attempts is ridiculous. Of course, you balance it and you go, well, is Joel Embiid going to take 9 shot attempts? And some of you will take less. He'll take 0 because he won't play. But it's not a realistic way to go about this. Maxey also played 41 minutes. 40.7 threes, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He was excellent. If you want to talk about excellent, though, we can't talk about Joel Embiid because honestly, I've said this before, I think he's rooted. I actually think he might be rooted, and the knees are done. 4 points on 11% is terrible. One of the things that stood out about Embiid last season, he couldn't really move. He couldn't jump. He didn't block shots. He blocked one here and had 6 rebounds. And he will play more than 20 minutes, I'm pretty certain. He was a minus 16 in this game with 21 usage. I'm very scared. This is why I would not take him inside the top 50. And even that might be too high. You have to be very concerned. Now, he will ramp up in minutes, but I would be very concerned. Now, what we wanted to see, what they would do with Paul George out and Embiid limited. How much boner would we get? Well, we got a lot of dick in Toronto, but we didn't get as much boner here. Just 15 minutes for 0 points. Did not attempt a field goal, did not score. Obviously, that's bad. Now, there are going to be moments when Embiid does not play where we're going to get a lot more boner. But if you wanted to drop him to grab Edgecombe, if you wanted to drop him to get Kalkbrenner, if you wanted to drop him to do a number of other things, I understand it. If you wanted to drop him to grab the Trojan Dommy Barlow, you might do it. Barlow, who's a player that I've loved for a long time and just never got that opportunity, and he's still on a two-way here, by the way, had 13 and 8 with 5 assists in 34 minutes. And while Paul George is out, which honestly might not be that long, but I don't know, I think Barlow is going to be the guy. So yeah, if you want to stream Barlow in, do it. Grimes was not very good, and the worry with Grimes was how would he find enough shots when players were there? Now, again, I don't expect that Edgecombe is 26 and Grimes is 8 in terms of shot attempts. Quentin had 10, 5, and 5 on 38%, and Oubre had 10 and 4 on 6 attempts. Again, that shot distribution seems off. It seems untenable, and it seems off. If you do have Grimes, I believe his value will come when multiple players are out, and he isn't necessarily a must-roster guy at the moment for 12s. Let's go across to the other side of this game, and that is the Boston Celtics, who they looked like they were going to get the win, but they did not. What we got was Jaylen Brown on a hamstring injury, playing 36 minutes, 25, 6, and 4, and he shot really well, which he doesn't always do, while Derek White didn't shoot well, but he shot a lot. And White had 25, 3, and 4 with a steal and a block. But we also saw Sneaky Joe Mazzulla in this game really extending the rotation and bringing a bunch of guys in at different points, and that is going to be the thing. This Sixers team is not particularly good, and the Celtics didn't win it. Now, I know that a lot of people were calling, man, do I just drop Neemias Queta? He's barely playing. He ended up with 17 and 8 in 25 minutes. This is why we don't overreact to a quarter or a half, honestly, even a game. Because 17 and 8 on 88%, on 75% from the line is bloody good. You can't complain about it. So I don't think you definitely don't need to make a move on the Pastel Donata at this point. We saw Chris Boucher getting minutes early, and then he played only 16 for 6 and 4. If you want to drop him, go ahead. Luka Garza. In fact, given he's a Canadian legend, should we jack him? Should we John him?
Get that garbage out of here!
You don't have to hold on to him. Well, Peyton Pritchard played 37 minutes. Now, people will look at this and go, why did I waste a pick on him? Come on. 37 minutes, 16, 5, and 2, 2 steals. You couldn't ask for anything more. It is awesome. He, I believe, will live up to the hype. While Simons also played a lot of minutes. Now, he wasn't super good, 13 and 4, and he was someone that I was below market on, and I'm still happy with that position, but the minutes were solid. The first guy off the bench was the cashier, Xavier T. Illman. I don't know why, but he had 4 and 7 with 2 steals. We don't worry too much there. While Sam Hauser, just stick him in the mix with all the Sams. Even the guys that aren't called Sam, like Duncan Robertson, they're still Sams. 8 points with 2 threes for Hauser, not someone we care about. I thought we'd get more, why not? We did not. If you took a flyer on Joshy, see you later. You don't have to worry about him. I don't think for the most part. Now, a game that was pretty fun. The Pelicans and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies win at 128-122 is the final score. We'll start with New Orleans, who were without DeJounte Murray, obviously, but no Kevon Looney, and then no Carlo Makovic. So the center depth was pretty thin. And then at the end of the game, Yves Missi got hurt as well. Now, Missi was not good beforehand. 5 and 7, a steal and a block. And you know that I don't believe Yves Missi is a 12-team league guy. This further solidifies that thought. If you wanted to move on, move on. The Blizzard, Derek Queen, had 3 points in 15 minutes. He hasn't played in a long time. So we give him a little bit of grace with that, while for some reason, non-NBA player Hunter Dickinson played 5 minutes for 2 points. If they're without Missi, Queen could be forced to do a lot, but they could also just go small, and they did in this game, because we saw the depressed penis back for the first time since April 24, and Sadiq Bey played 30 minutes off the bench. Now, was he enough to get excited about? Not really, but it is interesting. If someone's going to be out, we're going to be a little bit more interested in Bey, who had 13 and 6 in 30 minutes. It's a nice deep league move. Ken Murphy had 13 and 7, and Herb was great, 17 and 9. And what about Zion? You know that I was big on Zion. And yes, it is going to come down to injuries. But he played 33 minutes. He had 27, 9, and 5 with 5 steals. And yeah, the free throws were terrible. And he didn't hit threes. But you know what you do if you draft him in leagues? You deal with it. You can't get this other stuff in other places. He is great. Jeremiah Fears in the rotation ahead of Jose Alvarado. I did not think that Will Green would just say, screw it, Jose is not playing, but that's exactly what happened. I thought Fears would be terrible early, and honestly, he's been good. 17 points. He didn't have much else there, and he's not going to be a 70% shooter. But if you're in a deeper league, that is incredibly encouraging. Well, Jordan Poole started. He didn't do much. He had 17. He had 2 assists with no defensive stats. That's fine. The role is fine. He'll be better than that. But we could have hoped for a bit more there, I think. Let's go to the other side, and that is the Memphis side of that. The Grizzlies do get the win, and we did think that Demetrius was going to play. We did think that Jaren Jackson were going to play, and they did. Morant played only 29 minutes and had 35 and 3. That's unbelievable. 65% shooting. Love it. Jaren, 18 and 8 with 6 blocks. Are the blocks back? I don't know, but that's very good. And KCP was streamably solid. 15 and 4. What we wanted to find out is with no Zach Edey, no Ty Jerome, no Scott Pippen, who was going to step up? Well, tell you who it wasn't. Santi Aldama. 5 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. Now, I think Santi will be better than this, but if they don't want to play Santi and Jaren together, then you're not going to be able to really use Santi that much. Because we started Jock Landau, who had 10 and 4 with 2 blocks, which honestly is not a bad line for at least a 14-team league spot. What we wanted to see is who else was stepping up. Well, two guys stepped up. One of them we were pretty big on, that's Jalen Wells, who had 14 with 4 threes and 4 assists. I think he's a 12-team league guy. The other one, Cedric Howard, looked great. I don't think we rush in a 12 to get him, but 14 points, 2 steals, a block. It did need perfect shooting to get there, but the fact that he got the minutes, that he looked comfortable out there, is really encouraging. And he's getting these solid minutes ahead of other players. Javon Small was the guy ahead of Cam Spencer. Spencer still played, but that's realistically only deeper league stuff. Let's go on to the next one, and it is my Chicago Bulls up against the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons lose 115-111 on the road. We had a lot of things to figure out here in Detroit because there was no Jaden Ivey, as we know. So let's look at what they did there. They started Duncan Robinson, and he was putrid. He had one made field goal, 2 points in 32 minutes. You obviously don't care about him in any sort of league, outside of very, 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 very deep ones. The guy who popped was rugged Ronnie Holland II. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 27 minutes, 2 steals and a block. Now, I don't expect that he's 100% from the line. I don't expect that he's going to be 60%, although he only shot 25 from 3, so maybe. If you want to consider Holland, who was someone that I sort of put on breakouts, but I didn't realistically think he was going to be a 12-team guy, you can consider him at the very least a 14-team league ad. And then Jalen Duren got into very early foul trouble, and he wasn't particularly strong. I say that because he only got 20 minutes. The numbers, 15, 6, 1 steal, 2 blocks, are great. But he did have foul trouble, that partially limited. But also, Isaiah Stewart was awesome. Alf had 20 and 10 with 2 threes and 4 blocks, the Flame and Galar, and he was awesome in that game. He's been someone who always sort of projects to me in that back end of 14-team leagues. I don't think that this minutes distribution is a real thing, but we keep an eye on it. And then Asar Thompson, I think, delivered probably what we would have hoped. You hope maybe a bit more, 11, 9, and 7 steal and a block, but it's good. Cade had some efficiency troubles, weirdly from the line as well. But 23, 7, and 10, not really going to complain. Well, the thick Hogsman didn't do much. I would hold Toby Harris, unless I'm in an 8-teamer, and then I'll drop 10 maybe. 10, 9, and 4 for Toby is not good. While Karis LeVert did not step up, it was Holland. And maybe LeVert is washed, which is completely possible. So I don't mind grabbing a Ron Holland in at least 14s, and maybe 12s, because it's obviously encouraging. On the Bulls side of things, there was no Kobe White and no Zach Collins, but it wasn't Ayo Dosunmu who started. It was Trey Jones. We'll start with him. 32 minutes, 12, 1, and 8, 3 steals. Just add that. You add him until White returns, because that's too good to pass up on. As for Dosunmu, he needs 33 minutes, I think, to be useful. He didn't get it. He played 27, while Herder played 27 as well. Both guys were fine. If you're talking low volume days, that's streamable. 15 and 5 for Herder with 2 blocks, 14 and 5 for Dosunmu. But it's not realistically one I want to grab and hold on to. I want Jones. Buzelis lived up to the hype. 21 and 6 with 3 blocks. That's it. That's what you wanted. Joshie Giddey had some very poor shots and some very bad efficiency, but still 19, 5, 11, and a block. Very good. And we got to talk about the GOAT, Nick Vucevic. 28 and 14. Do you want me to just throw the memorial sell high on Vuce? Because, again, he shot 67% from 3 to get here. And you'll say, Josh, you said that all season. And guess what happened? It dropped way off. And he was outside the top 100 during most of the fantasy playoffs and most of the post-All-Star break period. This is very hot shooting for Vuce. He is a career 34% three-point shooter. who's had an unbelievable year last season at 40 and started out red hot here. I think he had 12 rebounds in the first half and ended with 14. So again, you could look at first half stats and try to extrapolate. Didn't do anything. What do you have? 16 and 12 in the first half? 16 and 11? And then ended with like 12 and 2 in the second half? It was very good from Verge. I liked him in around the 50s for drafts. This is on the high end because, again, it is fueled by ridiculous shooting that is just not going to stick. It no matter what you want to think, no matter how bad you want to make me feel for getting something wrong, it won't stick. Guaranteed. And now we're going to talk about what is maybe it could end up being the upset of the season. Like, the Jazz didn't just beat the Clippers. Like, they spanked them. 129-108. This game was over immediately. I don't know what to make of it. Now, one thing we talked about is I didn't think that they were going to start John Collins, and they didn't. Now, he still played 28 minutes and had 14 and 7 with 2 blocks. Not bad. So if you've got him, you hold for now. The other thing we wanted to see was what would happen with Ivica Zubac. Now, they did play 4 minutes of garbage time, so it's conceivable he could have got 31 minutes. And the numbers are still fine, 19 and 7, but 27 minutes or 30 minutes is not 33, and that's why we downgraded him. Kawhi was just terrible in this game. 10 points, 29 minutes. I aspire to be as bad as Kawhi, and maybe he should have other aspirations to be better than this, because this is terrible. You have to think, is something weighing on his mind? Is he fighting through a forest of doubt? I don't know. But that was bad. Lopez was good, but I'm not adding him playing 17 minutes. He had 15 with 5 threes, and Jimmy Harden was okay, but it is hard to read a lot into this Clippers game. Obviously, it was over very early. If you were considering Chris Paul as an option, don't. 4 points in 15 minutes, while Beal was on a minutes limit and had 5 in 20. I would try to hold Beal, but in saying that, I don't know if he's a top 100 guy. So if you wanted to make moves, I don't think it would burn you too much. The other thing to look at with John Collins and all that stuff is Derek Jones started, but he played 18 minutes and had 12 points due to foul trouble. So what if he plays 25? Does Collins play 22? What if the game is closer? So you're not out of the woods entirely with Collins, but it could have been worse. It could have been worse. Let's talk about the team that is the surprise here, and that is the Utah Jazzmen. They went with the starting lineup, which I could not believe. Ace Bailey was sick, and he was limited to 15 minutes. Now, obviously, played more than that. He played 20, and he was terrible. But I'm going to give him a pass because of the illness. In saying that, one of the things that I was very cautious about with Bailey was, will there be enough outside of scoring, and will he be anything if not horribly inefficient? Unfortunately, he had 2 points on 20% with no steals, no blocks, and no threes. So, not a great check in the ledger of he's going to be great. If you have him, you obviously just want to see what happens when the minutes limit is not there, which could be as early as next game. But that is not encouraging. They started Kyle Filipowski over Taylor Hendricks, which I did not expect. I know that is what they started in the final preseason game, but I didn't think that's what they would do. But they did. Now, Filipowski had 9, 4, and 5 and wasn't particularly efficient, while Hendricks had 13, 5 with a steal and a block. But it's important that we saw that Filipowski played 25 and Hendricks played 19. Hendricks' line is better. There's no question that is a better performance than Filipowski. But if Filipowski is starting and Hendricks is not, then we don't bother with Hendricks in 12s. I don't know that they'll stick with this, but for now, again, if you are looking to take a flyer on somebody, you might want to grab Edgecombe or Davion Mitchell. I don't think you worry about dropping Hendricks, and I don't think you need to worry too much about adding Filipowski. We sort of had an idea that Bryce Sensabaugh would be popping off for a lot of points, and he did. 20 points, 23 minutes, 3 threes. He's not going to do much else, and it does help that Bailey is limited, and Bailey will start over Mahai Luke when he returns. Now, Svi, for whatever reason, had 9 points. We don't worry too much about that. While Walter Clayton, 10, 6, and 5 is pretty good. Remembering Isaiah Collier is out, don't think Clayton's going to be a 12-team league guy. But I do think that Keontae George looks pretty good. He shot well. He had 16, 2, and 9 with 2 steals. That is everything you want. Now, we're not going to say that it's over and he's great now. But I would say that nothing in this game suggests that he's losing a spot to Collier. The two big names, though, are Markkanen and Kessler. Lowry was very efficient, 20 and 6 with 5 assists. But what about Walker? What a game. 22 and 9, 4 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks. He played one preseason game and was great there. And now he's banging threes with assists. Unbelievable stuff from Kessler. I was not high on him heading into this season for a couple of reasons. One of them mainly being that the Jazz tank and where he was going to be. I did not think that he was going to do this. I could end up being just wildly wrong on him because he is just looks like he's adding multiple areas to his game that I did not think. Now, it is opening night, and it was a very weird game. But that is an incredibly good performance from the big fella, Walker Kessler. All right, so the next game, it's over, isn't it? It's over for the league because Victor Wembanyama is not messing around. 125 San Antonio, 89 Dallas. Wemby played under 30 minutes, but who cares? 40 points, 15 rebounds, 1 3, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 71% from the field, 82 from the line. Like, that's legit. It's over for fantasy, honestly. That's ridiculous. That is why we looked at him at number 2. That's why if you played Yahoo default, if you didn't want to take Jokic in the 2-game week, you could take Wemby. Now, we haven't seen Jokic play yet, but that is obviously ridiculous. It was also a really good game from Steph Castle outside of the horrendous free throws, which his shooting is the concern. 67% from the field is great, on 7 of 9 from 2. He also had 22, 7, and 6. Now, of course, Fox was not there, but that's very good from Castle. I hope he's able to prove me wrong and become a very good player. I still have concerns, obviously. Dylan Harper had some foul trouble, played 23 minutes. I love that he got 15 points, but given the way the guard situation is shaping up here, I'm not sure he's going to have enough runway to be a guy that you want in standard formats. Vassell was fine, 13, 3, and 4 with 2 steals, and the Horse had 11 and 5 Keldon Johnson in 25 minutes. As for Vassell, I think for now you hold, but I don't think he's going to remain a must-roster guy when Fox is back. And then we had Bubbles Julian Champagny have 5 points in his 25 minutes as a spot start guy. Of course, we got the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! He played 30 minutes for 7 points, and you'd have to be in a 1,000,000-team league for me to even care that Harrison Barnes was out there. Let's talk about the Dallas side of things because it was ugly. What we did see happen is they went with the lineup we thought they would, and that's Cooper Flagg at point guard. Now, it was not a good start for Flagg. He had 0 points in the first half. He rescued a little bit, but overall a bad game. 10 and 10 with no assists and shot 31%. And one of the things we talked about with Flagg is I think he's going to be a top 20, top 10 player within a year or two and be above average in every fantasy category. But the early part of his rookie season, he's going to have horrible efficiency. That was the thing that we talked about, and you have to deal with that. No matter where you take him, you had to deal with the fact that he might be the 80th or 90th best player for 2 months. And that started out exactly like it. Don't worry too much. Also, you'd have to look at that Derek Lively game and go, bro, what is going on? But he did have 5 fouls in the 10 minutes playing against Wemby. It's bad. There's no question that it is bad. But don't drop Lively after this. You can, though, drop Klay Thompson.
Get that garbage out of here!
He shouldn't have been drafted to begin with. 10 points, 23 minutes, and D'Angelo Russell had 6 in 15. Also, see you later.
Get that garbage out of here!
PJ Washington, if he sits on your waiver wire, I'd go and add him. It's not a groundbreaking game, but 17, 5, and 1 and played 29 minutes, while Davis had 22, 13, 2 steals and a block, and shot horribly. One of the concerns I had with Davis this season, if he's playing power forward, his field goal percentage will drop. And it did. Now, they didn't have many other centers in this game, obviously with Gafford out and PJ playing more at the 3, and Lively in foul trouble. But it is a concern a little bit with AD in terms of that efficiency stuff, even though he hit his 3s at a high rate, like 28% on 2s is obviously not going to cut it. So, not great from a Dallas perspective. All right, final 2 games. Kings, Suns. I don't really know how Sacramento lost this game, but they did 120 to 116. They pulled a bit of a shifty on us. There's no Sabonis and no Keegan Murray, obviously, but it was Nick Clifford who started. Now, Clifford played just 24 minutes and had 2 points, but 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. At least it puts him on your radar as a short-term streaming guy for like 14-team leagues. Drew Eubanks started in place of Sabonis, and the numbers, like some of them, are good. 2 steals and 4 blocks. You love that. But he played 22 minutes. He had 4 points. He came out halfway through the third quarter and never returned. I think Doug Christie might be terrible, by the way, as a coach. So just be aware of that. It's a stream option for Eubanks, and that is about it. We saw Šarić play 7 minutes, and if we're going to do the watch on anyone, he is like done. Like he's terrible. He'll be out of this rotation soon. Maxime Reynaud will be in there, and Reynaud got 11 minutes. He didn't do much, but at least he played. And we had Dylan Cardwell. Yeah, that's a real person. He played as well, 14 minutes. Let's not talk about the good yet. Let's talk about the bad. Russell Westbrook with 18 minutes.
Get that garbage out of here.
He has been added in 12-team leagues in lots of spots. He had 6 points and 6 rebounds, and Keon Ellis played 13 minutes and didn't play at all in the final 8 minutes. They do not value him. You might value him. You might think he's great. We might love his fans value. The Kings do not. And I think that is pretty apparent. And it wasn't just a Mike Brown thing. Ellis played 13 minutes in a game without Sabonis and without Murray. He had, 9 points with the steal? I do not think. Now, he could easily play more than this. But I don't think it's getting better when guys return. I don't think that you need to hold him. Malik Monk picked up a lot of the slack. That's great. 19 points, not a lot else there. But again, it is going to get squishier when these guys return. While DeRozan was excellent. He's not going to shoot that well from the field. He's also not going to shoot that poorly from the line. 4 of 9 from the line, 71 from the field. 29, 6 and 9, 2 steals and a block is great, while Levine had 30 points, 2 rebounds and assists. But this carries over. Levine last season, when he went to Sacramento, he just did not get assists like he did in Chicago. And this was without Sabonis. So that is worth watching. If he's just going to be a score-only guy, well, it is harder to get excited about him when he was getting picked in the 50s and 60s. I was more of a 70s, 80s guy on him. For that main reason. DeRozan was excellent. Schroeder, 14, 1 and 7, 2 steals and a block, not bad. Totally fine. I don't think Dennis Schroeder in 30 minutes is necessitating must roster, but if you've got him, you obviously hold after a performance like that, which is, again, totally fine without being mind-blowing. On the Suns side of things, well, we got some updates on Mark Williams. They said he's going to have a minutes limit of about 20 to 24. I go, okay, that's not great. What they're actually doing, and then they didn't start him. They started Osset Iguodala. Jesus, all right. So a lot of people would have panicked. But he played 24 minutes, right at the upper limit of the minutes restriction. He had 6 and 11 with 2 blocks and closed the game. I actually think that we're good. I think we're good. He is far and away better than every other center on this roster. It's not remotely close. Big Dick Nick Richards had 8 and 3. Iguodala had 7 and 4. And Malawach did not play at all. It is going to be frustrating. There are going to be minutes limits. But he was playing 31 a night as a top 30 player last season in Charlotte, Mark Williams. And while they're going slow here, the fact that they closed with him, he was again the most productive guy. You don't feel good about it. You don't feel good about the limit and whatever's going on here, but I think we hold pretty tightly. I do love Grayson Allen with Jalen Green out, 18, 5 and 7 with 3 threes. That's a great performance. And also a really good game from Ryan Dunn. Now, he did only play 25 minutes, but he had 3 blocks and he had 10 rebounds. It's more giving 14 than 12. But it's fine. We also had Dylan Brooks decide to go back to Memphis Dylan Brooks, and that is not a good thing. The big fella took, 24 shots? Bro, can you settle down? He did have 22 points, but on 24 shots, he's horrific. And he had 2 steals. That's streamable. It's frustrating, though. Devin Booker, only 3 assists, while Allen had 7. Interesting development. He had 31, 5 and 3, so people were loving him in the first round. It should have been much better because he shot 67 from the line. 10 of 15. Bro's a 90% guy. So expect that to improve. I want to see more of that ball handling. And if you are in deeper leagues, Colin Gillespie getting a pretty solid role off the bench while Royce O'Neal played 29, which is way more than I thought. I did not think that we'd see Royce O'Neal playing more than Ryan Dunn. We don't need to worry about Royce O'Neal in most leagues, but it is just something that's there. The final game. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they get the win 118-114 over the Portland Trailblazers. Ant was questionable with back spasms and he played 39 minutes and 41 points. Of course he did. Now, the overall game could do with a little bit more work, but that's nitpicking, isn't it? 41 and 7 with 5 threes, 50% shooting, 8 of 8 from the line. You want him to do a little bit more with assists and steals and blocks, but overall, it's great. Julius Randle, also 37 minutes. You'd love to see it. 19, 7 and 6, 2 steals and a block. Good numbers. Well, Jaden McDaniels was also really good. Now, he only played 29 minutes, which is a problem for McDaniels continually. Had 4 fouls. This is also a problem for him continually. 18 and 5 with 3 blocks. He's a very good level of production. I don't think that he's that level of guy, but it was good. Now, what we also saw is them starting Dante DiVincenzo over Mike Conley. Went, okay, let's go. I liked drafting DiVincenzo. I was pretty excited about it, and he wasn't very good. He played 20 minutes. Now, the numbers, you're okay. 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 assists. You love getting that random, Richie Beno. But he also had 6 turnovers and he got benched. What also happened is Rob Dillingham out of the rotation. I don't think Chris Finch thinks he's good. They went with Bones Highland as the 10th guy, who also is not good. If I added Dante DiVincenzo, I would not drop him. If I'm debating whether to add Dante DiVincenzo, I would add him. even though this wasn't good. Mike Conley played 13 minutes only. All right, obviously no one's rostering him. And then Terrence Shannon was pretty good. 25 minutes for him, 10, 5, and 5. That's a nice, deeper league player. Gobert got into some foul trouble, but still 10 and 6 with a block. We were somewhat down on Gobert this season because of the age and the reduction in block rate. I think that played out basically that way here. The final team to talk about is the Blazers, and they get the loss at home. Jeremy Grant off the bench decided he was going to go absolutely bananas. I would not get sucked into this. 29 points is excellent. It's better than him shooting under 40%, but he shot 71% to get there. He only played 28 minutes, and he had nothing else. It's fine if you want to stream Jeremy Grant. Don't go over the top on this. Drew Holiday absolutely just needs to be on rosters, 14, 6, and 7 with 3 steals, while Klingon played 30 minutes, and that's a great result. Now, the production's not awesome, but 8 and 6 with 2 steals and a block, you take that. His backup, Young Hun Sen. I'm so sorry if you're a patriotic Chinese fan. He is not good. He might become good. He is not good. You do not need... Young Hun Sen is rostered in 43% of advanced leagues on our Basketball Monster site. I've told you this a lot of the way through. He is getting bold. He is getting bold. Because people think that it's a meme or whatever it is. He is not good. He is not good enough to be a 12-team league player. Jack.
Get that garbage out of here!
Get him off your team. Shaden Sharp was a little bit disappointing in a start, just 29 minutes, 15, 2, and 4, but took 20 shots and only 25% went in. So I think that's going to revert. Don't worry. Kamara, yeah, I would hope for some defensive stats. 10, 9, and 5 is fine. Well, Denny was annoyingly inefficient, but 20 and 7 with 1 assist is totally solid as well. So overall, most of the stuff that we thought outside of Jeremy Grant's explosion sort of was what it was with the Blazers. And that's 12 games. Let's give out some awards. Let's do the monstrous line of the night. I think you know what it is. It's Victor Wembanyama, 40 points, 15 rebounds with 3 blocks. Ridiculous. The waiver wire line of the night, under 40% rostered on our site. Isaiah Stewart, 20 and 10 with 4 blocks. A ridiculous game. A definite 14-team league option. Your young gun of the night. Who's debating this one? It's the dominatrix, VJ Edgecombe, who played 1 million minutes, took 1 million shots, and they went in. It was a great game. 34 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Temper expectations, but grab him. And the dud of the night is an easy jack. Easy jack. D'Angelo Russell played 15 minutes. He'll probably play more in other games, but he's also not good enough to hold on to. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists for D'Lo. And that is a busy 12-game day in the NBA where we got some interesting performances. We got some situations that will cause people to get bamboozled and hoodwinked. Be careful with your moves. Make some moves. Let's take a look at, maybe let's have a quick little rundown, I guess, on a couple of just standout things. VJ Edgecombe, of course, if he is there, you go grab him. Look to the big cock, Ryan Kalkbrenner in Charlotte, where you can go to grab him. In terms of other options to go and grab, like Davion Mitchell is probably worth grabbing for the time being. Keyshawn George, absolutely we go and add him. Grayson Allen, rugged Ronnie Holland, they're worth looking at. Chris Middleton is also an ad, as is Trey Jones, and I said Kalkbrenner. I think that covers most of the major ads, but we went through that all across the show, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, thumb it, bang it, hype it. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.